I'm a couple of minutes late this morning. I'm not really sure why time got away from me. I was just sitting here contemplating the universe and everything, life, the universe and everything, and yeah, just realised that it had gone 10:30. Thankfully, I've prepared most of our cards for today, so we'll be okay. We'll muddle our way through anyway. I'm just checking. Checking my volume. That seems to be working okay. Just as you pop on, say hi. Tell me where you're watching from. If it's your first time, tell me that as well. I may not, as usual, I may not get to the comments as we're crafting because I do get carried away in the moment, but I will definitely come back to them afterwards and reply to any questions or anything that you may have. Another, well, by me, overlooked stamp set today. Just happened to see this one when I was popping through our mini catalogue recently and realised that it's just so incredibly cute. And of course, you then see other people doing what they do with these stamp sets, and you think, how could I have overlooked that? It is just the sweetest. So it's called Taco Fiesta, as you can see. Simple line drawn images with a taco Mexican sort of theme to them. We have a little piñata down here, some tacos, nachos there, chilies, little cactus man here who I haven't actually used for anything today, but we're getting there. And the fun thing is that each of those little images, you've got some various faces here. So a little face with a big moustache and just some other little expressive faces there that you can actually put onto your cute little images as you go. Now, I have stamped and coloured a lot of these little images already, just so I could get a bit of a feel for them myself, and I'm going to be using them all as we go, or most of them, as I say. I've already designed a couple of cards, sort of various simplicities and not simplicities. I'm just trying to get all the little creatures out so I can show you. Bear with me for a minute. All the little images are out. Okay, so here we have the little corn chips there. So I've coloured those in light and dark Daffodil Delight, and there's a larger one there. You could probably put a little face on if you wanted to. There's a hot chili, little hot red chili there, and he is in a sweet sorbet, so a nice bright red there. And what else have we got? A little bowl of dip. I've made it green so it can be a guacamole dip, but I've seen it coloured in red as well. And we've got, these are the cutest. I may have missed the avocado phase, but there's a cute little avocado there, which I've given the little mustache to, a little hat, a little sombrero there that can go on just about anything, really cute as well. There's our little what's the little cactus man here that I've given a little face to. Now, I haven't gone too crazy with the whole broad spectrum of colours here. It's basically Daffodil Delight. Granny Apple Green is the green. Sweet Sorbet, as I said, is the red. And I've added a little bit of Cajun Craze there for the terracotta in the bowl. But basically, I'm sticking to that same few colours just because I like to sort of put a bit of a theme to things. And I find that the easiest way. And I've just got a little, what would this one be? That's the taco. He's got a little face as well. And this would be sort of like a enchilada or something down here. So they're all the little colours, little guys all coloured in there. Oh, that's crumb cake, light and dark crumb cake I've used on that little wrap there as well. So yeah, so stick to the colours, not going too crazy. One that I did want to show you, and I've already completed the card of this one. That's our little, what did I call him? Thing that you break, piñata. That's our little piñata guy there. And I'm going to show you how I've made this card as well. It's actually been inspired by our artisanal team, our team of artists anyway, with the sort of the fringed coloured on the background. So I'll show you how I've made that, and I'll make a very similar card to this one today as well, plus a couple of little note cards. The images are so tiny and cute. I found that they get a wee bit lost in a full-size card. So I've actually been using our wonderful note cards. So they're 3.5 by 5, the note cards, and they just make a nice little gift card or something like that, a nice little gift in themselves, and the images don't get too lost in a whole sort of full-size A6 card. That's for 2 of them. Saying that, I have actually done a big size card for that fringed one, so we'll do that first. Just pop all my little food people in the bag so I don't lose them. So I've used, as I say, blends with all of those. You could quite happily use markers and watercolour pencils. I've seen them done in watercolour pencils as well, so no great restrictions on that, although we do love our blends. Okay, so I'm going to start by showing you how I've cut the fringe from this original card here. So I showed it to my husband. I was very proud of myself, showed it to him and said, you know, wow, look what I've done here. And he looked at it and didn't quite get the reference. So I don't think he's hung around enough sort of those sorts of events to have come across the fringe that you often associate with the piñata anyway. So I have 6 colours of cardstock here. There's the sweet sorbet, the granny apple green, that's balmy blue, that would be mango melody, and that is the starry sky, so the new in colour, so that's the dark blue. And I've got the daffodil delight here as well, and I'm just going to show you how I made that little fringe and how I continue to put that together in a card. Okay, now there are such things, I know, in the world, there are such things as fringe scissors. So if you don't have fringe scissors, which I don't have fringe scissors, obviously my crafting stash is lacking more than I know, you could just grab your paper snips and cut up to sort of those. This is 1.25 inches this wide, this piece of cardstock. Cut it up to about 1/4 inch from the top, and you've got your fringe. Fundamentally, I am a lazy crafter, and I knew that I had some herb shears or herb scissors in the cupboard in the kitchen, which I hardly ever use, to be honest, because you know these days I tend to get my herbs out of a tube or a jar rather than actually cutting them fresh from the garden. I suppose I shouldn't admit to that. So I think these are probably the least used appliance in the drawer, and I thought, will they work? I mean, they've got the nice sort of sized cut in them, and so obviously the fact that I'm showing you means that yes, it did. So all I do is basically put these little scissors on the piece of cardstock to about the distance that I wanted it to go up, and cut. And there you get your fringe. It does distort it somewhat, but it's quite easy to just, once we're finished, just go through it and straighten those little fringes out. And with 3 or 4 little snips, I've got my fringe done. So obviously, as I say, any crafters who worth their salt probably have a pair of those fringe scissors in their stash. I obviously don't. Apparently Stampin' Up used to have them, but they're retired. But I think that works quite well, and you know, you get to use the underused herb scissors from the drawer that you've never used. I did actually use them for some dill the other day on some salmon that I was having, so I had to make sure that I cleaned out the dill, because we would have had a bit of aroma with our cards, but they were perfectly clean. You'll be pleased to hear. So there's our fringe there. So, and Jan's telling me they're pretty much the same as craft ones. Well, there you go. See, I didn't have to go and buy expensive ones. I just repurposed from the cupboard. Okay, so that's our fringes there. So we've got those there. Now I've got a dimension these pieces of cardstock are 3.5 inches long. So 3 1/4 by 3.5. That's how I've cut those of those 6 colours. I have a 3.5 inch square piece of basic white here. I'm just going to layer those up on there just so that they form that sort of cascading fringe type setup. So let's put them on. So I'm just going to pop, we'll start, what's the easiest, best way to start? Start from the bottom, I think. I'm going to pop some double-sided tape just on the piece of the cardstock that hasn't been snipped, just along the top. And I'm just going to layer them along. So start from the bottom. Yeah. Have a bit of a play. If you're not comfortable with laying these down, I actually started, the first one I did, I actually started from the top and worked it down, sort of just so I knew that I was going to get the whole thing covered. Bring this next one in. So just overlapping the previous colour a wee bit. We've got 2, and then we'll bring in our green. Now, the good thing about getting the ideas from the artisan team, that's the way to say it, artisan team, is you get some lovely ideas from them. But sometimes you don't get the instructions, or they're not immediately at hand. So you have to sort of work out how they've done it themselves to a certain degree. So this is my take on how I think they have achieved that look. Somebody may well have found the instructions somewhere and say they did it a much easier way, but hey, this is my take on it. So we're just lining, as I say, that each of these pieces of cardstock are 3.5 wide, even though they're a bit distorted with the fringe. So I can just lay them across, and we're building up our pretty fringe layer. Somebody just sent me a message. And this is our Mango Melody one. And our Sweet Sorbet one is last. There we are. There we are. So that's that. That's our little fringy, bright little panel there. So what I'm going to do now is I've got a plain basic white card base, which is my 8 1/4 by 5.5 scored in the middle, just like that. And then I've got a piece of the same basic white cardstock, but I have cut a square in it, and this is going to be the frame for our little fringe. Could just chuck it on there like that, but it looks a little bit untidy to me with all the end bits sort of being a bit wild. So I'm going to cover the edges with this little frame, and this is the largest of the squares from our stylish shapes. So I've just basically taken the piece of cardstock and cut the window out of it. So what I'll do first of all is position the little fringed layer over there. May take it slightly higher than centre, just so you see a little bit less of the red and a little bit more of the blue. But I don't want to go too far up because I do actually need to stick this to, I do need eventually to stick this to the card, so we'll go, need to leave enough so I can get a row of adhesive at the top there at least. So that we'll pop it there, I think, which means you may see a little bit more of the red than the blue. One day I'd work out how to do that properly. So just there. Now I'm going to try something different with this one. And if you watch me regularly, you're going to be rolling your eyes now because that never works out well. The top of this one, I actually used some of our adhesive foam strips to attach that to the card base. You can see there's a fair bit of gap around the edges there, just because I felt that the fringe sticks up quite a bit and I didn't want to squash it. So wondering to myself overnight whether that was actually necessary and whether I could just use double-sided tape, because I really don't like that bulk too much. So here we go. Don't forget the twine. Thank you, Deborah. There's no twine on this one. Oh, yeah, there was twine with this one because he had to hang from a rope, but I'm not using him on this one, so no twine. This is a surprise, this one. So I'm going to use double-sided tape instead. And if it goes terribly, terribly wrong, we'll laugh about it in the morning. I can always rip it off and put the put the foam on. I am going to go pretty crazy with my double-sided tape to make sure I get proper sticking. I think probably if you've got enough room, you could probably use dimensionals as well if you wanted that extra volume. But as I say, I'm going this way this time, and we'll see how successful or otherwise it turns out. Had a lovely visit from was he here last week? Lovely visit from my youngest and last weekend down from Launceston, which is a city at the north of the state where he's gone to work. Poor guy. He came home. He was really pleased to see us all. Hi, Mum. Hi, Mum. And he basically went to his bedroom and slept for most of the weekend. He was absolutely exhausted. I don't know that maybe I haven't prepared my children for adulting as well as I possibly could have, because I think he's finding the shock of having to wake up at a certain time and be at a job at a certain time. I think he's finding it quite stressful. So everyone who said, did you have a nice weekend with Sammy? Well, yeah, it was nice, but as I say, he slept probably, we'll say he was home for what, 48 hours? He probably slept 40 hours of that, I'd say, over the 3 days or 2 days. But as I said to my mum, I said he must have needed it, because he does have a very long drive from where he's living to where he's working. That was good though. Okay, so that seems to have stuck down okay. It's a little bit lumpy around where the edges of the the 3.5 inch square are, but I don't think that's too bad, and I could have cut that down. So it's probably only 3 inches, and that would fit just as well. But there we are. I like that. That's okay. I can live with it like that. Now, if I was doing the one with our little piñata, I would have had to pop that piece of string in behind the frame before I added it. But I'm not using the piñata with this one. I'm using these other little guys just to show you some more of the cute little figures. Okay, so I'm happy with that. We can go with that. Okay, so let's bring in some more of our little characters. On this one, I'm going to use the taco and the wrap, what are we calling it, enchilada or fajita or whatever this little guy's supposed to be, both with their smiley faces. I'm going to pop those onto the cover, And I'm going to give this little guy a little hat because I think everything needs a hat and a mustache. There we are. So I'm going to pop those on there. And the sentiment I'm going to use is your no, they're not nachos, are they? Spectacular, I think I'm going to use there on the outside there. So I just pop that at the bottom down there. So let's do that, because at least one of them is actually a taco. And then I'll pop another sentiment inside just to follow on. Pop that there. Okay, to attach these two little guys, I think I like my little my little piñata. I'm going to just use some double-sided tape, and it will just attach itself to the topmost fringes there. Just sort of firm that down so it just attaches itself to the topmost fringes. Okay, there's some other little, they call them puns, I suppose, little plays on words with this stamp set. Long time no taco, your nacho average friend. Okay, maybe you've got to be there. But they're quite funny and light. So I'll just give this little guy his hat. Aren't they cute? And I do love that very colourful fringed background. That's really, really nice. Really cute. Okay, just making sure that that's firmed down. Okay, so let's give it the spectacular. Just going to pop that just underneath there. Colour-wise, I think I will use my, and I did have it out a second ago, my Starry Sky. There's a nice deep blue, which is the blue that we've used there. Might have been wiser to actually stamp it before I popped it down, but hey, when have I been wise before? I'll just take it up here somewhere. Yeah, that's not too bad. And I'll bring in something else inside what we use from the spectacular. I'll put this, your nacho average friend, not show. I think it's supposed to be a not so average friend. But yeah, it depends how you say it, I suppose. Obviously, I haven't got the right accent. Cute. I love the font of this. It's sort of really nice. It's sort of bulky, but it's yeah, it's good. We could pop some of our different little images inside there as well, but I think that's really cute. So that one's good. I like that one. That's worked out quite well. So I do actually like the lack of bulk there, that we did get a lot of bulk in that one. So yeah, when I make it again, I'll probably reduce the size of that fringed area to just be 3 inches square, and then it will just fit inside that little stitched square pretty easily. So there we are. There's our little fringed ones there. Okay, so just another couple. So we've got to use all these really cute little images that I've stamped and spent all my time fussy cutting. As I mentioned, I have used the smaller note cards. So you can buy Stampin' Up note cards and envelopes. There we are, Whisper White. Oh, this is an old pack that says Whisper White. It's now Basic White. So Basic White note cards and envelopes. 20 in a pack. I'm not quite sure what the price of them is now, but they're definitely a nice size for these particular cards. These are just going to be very, very simple. I've cut a piece of, as I mentioned, they're 3.5 by 5. I've just cut a piece of designer series paper that is exactly that size as well, so it just covers over the card base exactly. This one is from the Country Floral Lane designer series paper, and it's a lovely white heart on a sweet sorbet background. Got the contrasting granny apple green and a white panel just to sit on the top like that. So that's going to be, I'll put some of our little creatures on there. Oh, yeah. And this one, this is a granny apple green stripe, and this one's from our the Celebration freebie, my favourite paper at the moment, which I'm slowly working my way through the dandy designs. So yeah, I'm going quite well using all of those. Anyway, so that's a nice granny apple green stripe, and again I've cut that just exactly the same size as the card base. This time I've got a sweet sorbet square. It's 2.5 inches square, and a slightly smaller piece of white as well. Okay, so let's pop the rest of our little creatures, our little characters in here. So the red one, we'll do the red one first. Pop the paper on. So I can imagine these just put together, you know, do 5 or 6 of them, just with sort of fairly generic type sentiments, and give them as a gift. I think that would be really, really sweet. And our white layer. Oh, that moved as I put it down. Yeah. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to use I've got a really cute little chili here with his little face, and my little bowl of guacamole, and I'm going to use the corn chips as well. So first of all, I'll bring in the sentiment. I'm going to do the sentiments on these in black, and this one I'm going to use the You Spice Up My Life, which is obviously quite appropriate for if your friend is a red chili. That would definitely spice up your life somewhat. Just pop that on the little white box at the bottom. There we are. And let's get our little guys in here. So you could stamp them straight onto the designer series paper or onto the white if you wanted. If you didn't want to have to bother with the fussy cutting and the gluing and everything, of course you could just stamp them straight on. Actually, since I sort of cut them out and coloured them before I actually knew what I was going to do with them, so I'm actually just going to stick them on. Yeah. I'm going to pop this nacho actually in. It looks like it's sticking out of the bowl. And this little 3 nachos just in the background. Yeah. You spice up my life. And I'll pop this on here. I might put that on dimensionals just to give it a bit of oomphiness. Now, the next one is going to be our little avocados. Now, I don't know whether it's the same all over the place, but avocados for some reason got particularly trendy as a decoration more than a food in recent years here in Australia. I think because they got incredibly expensive there at one stage. And so people basically decided that they were cool to, they were too expensive to eat. So they started to putting them on just about anything else. You could get avocado, everything. You could get avocado placemats and avocado this and avocado that. It was quite, they were everywhere. So anyway, I don't know that, I think that phase has passed to a certain degree. But at the time, avocados made appearances on cards quite a lot, and always in sort of little couples, like loving couple type setup. So that's always a couple of trends behind. That's what I'm going to do with this one. Same again, we have our designer series paper. Just going to use the stripe side. Okay, so I've got one little avocado with a mustache. So of course he's the one that has to have the Mexican hat. Goes without saying, really. Here we are. Doesn't that look cute? Might just put it slightly on the side. Look a bit casual. Now I've got a little red heart that I've die cut. I can't even remember the name of the die set now. Just a tiny little red heart that I have die cut from Sweet Sorbet cardstock. So these 2 little guys are going to sit on the white with their little heads together almost, and with the little heart between them at the top, like that. Okay, I'm going to pop their sentiment on first, and I'm going to use the obvious pun here. What is it? Holy guacamole, it's your birthday. If my dad was here, he would love that. Or some of the puns in this particular set would really tickle his imagination. Here we pop these little guys down, and then this one's done as well. And I've got one more card. I won't do it with you, but I'll show you one more card that I did with the chili from the set, and then we're done. cute. And again, we'll pop this on some dimensionals, and that's this one done as well. So I was thinking about this set and the simple pencil line characters that it has. I was thinking it might be good for children colouring as well. They're quite small and quite fiddly in places, so I think probably older children rather than younger children, unless you've got some very very advanced younger children in your family. But yeah, so I think for children wanting to make their own cards, I think this is probably a lovely set to start with. So there we are. Holy guacamole, it's your birthday. So we've got our two little note cards there. Really, really cute, using these bright, happy characters from the stamp set. I'll show you. So there are our others that we've made with our other characters. All bright, very, very bright. And one that I did when I was just having a bit of a play with the chili from the set, I didn't bother giving him a face. It's just this little one here. Again, it's a smaller than usual card. I think it's about 4 inches square, just with the, I think this is real red card base. Just stamped a series of the images in just plain black, and then add coloured one as a highlight there with the You Spice Up My Life as well. So there we are. So that's that one as well. So yeah, lots and lots of things that you can do with these cute little characters. I haven't used my little, didn't use my little cactus man yet, but I'm sure he will find a place somewhere. It's very cute. I'll put him there as well. Okay, so thank you very much for watching today, guys. Have a great weekend once you get there, or if you're there now. To try and stay dry. I don't know about anywhere else, but we're supposed to get some rain today. And I will see you all again during the week.